that you're very like assertive and direct. And I think it's funny how like some women who are in certain positions, like for me, for example, sometimes I feel like it takes a lot for me to be direct or to use my voice because whether it's just being like I don't want to come across a certain way or it just is like difficult. So what advice would you give to young women who are coming into leadership positions who are struggling to find their voice? Yeah, what advice would you give to them?
I mean, as someone who still have imposter syndrome, I can understand sometimes I also get unsure. It's like, is this really my place? Do I even know what I'm talking about? So I like to gaslight myself most of the time. I think that, if you know that you're right, or you just want to have, given your opinion, just even if you're insecure, if you're not sure, sometimes you have to like fake it until you make it. I hate when people say that, but it's partially true that, if you feel it in your heart, this is the right thing, even if people might not agree with you, you stand up for that. And especially depending on also like sometimes you just have to read the room, like is this really the place or time to share it? Can I share it with someone else that is maybe one-to-one? But I don't feel like you should ever be scared or think that it's going to have a bad consequence for you to speak up. But it really depends obviously on the situation. I understand that some people might not want to say it in a big public space or in a big meeting, for example. So I think it's also a little bit of just learn about who these people are. Are they going to be able to hear what you're saying? Because sometimes that's also the other problem where you might be right, but if the person's not willing to hear what you're saying, then maybe you need to find someone else that can either help amplify your voice or speak for you, for example. So,
I got a follow-up question for you. So I got to say, like, I do believe that, for example, a lot of men make a little bit more mistakes than women. And being a voice in any industry, being a female, sometimes, and it's very unfortunate. I don't, I definitely disapprove that a man can't be led by a woman, right? Your voice, how many have you struggled in your career for people to listen to your voice and then the famous, like, kind of quietly you say, I told you, but you obviously don't say it, right? But how were you able for people to trust your voice, right, with all the experience you have gathered in your career?
I think I have had both types where I feel like I definitely have been heard, and sometimes I have not been heard at all, which have been very frustrating. So I would say like this: I think growing up and obviously living in Sweden has been a privilege because I know there are different cultures in every country. Sweden is obviously not perfect by any means. I do think that we're more equal here. I never really had a problem where I was being dismissed or anything because I'm a female, or I've been, giving a job just because, oh, it looks better if we have a woman here instead of a man. I do think that a lot of companies do want to hire more women. They take an active stance, but they're not going to hire you just because you're a woman. Like, you have to have some merits. So I think that at least most women that I have known in the industry, they have not felt that way either, that they've been discriminated at. We still have issues with, obviously, the pay is a little bit lower. I know that I was paid lower than my male colleagues, for example, even though we had the same job and the same experience. So, you're going to find that everywhere. It's unfortunate, but hopefully that's going to improve with time as well. Sorry, what was your other question? I had it in my mind and then I got this.
No, I'm actually glad that you were able to explain that, because a lot of corporations here in the United States, they want to look good on paper.